Okay, talk to me about detecting lying then. What's
Hmm.
true and what's false?
Okay, so there are statistical cues to deceit. These are things that liars typically do, but there's no one cue. So the way that I do lie detection, the way that I teach lie detection is I think of it as you have to know someone's baseline before you can know what they do when they lie. So we can actually do this together. I think that everyone should know their lying red flags. Every single person on this earth has things they typically do when they lie. It is good to know what yours are.
Mm,
Know what yours are. So I'm going to help you figure out what those are. You ready?
okay.
Okay. So here's what I want you to do. You can do this after the interview. Okay. First, you have to figure out what your baseline is. So I want you to turn on your camera and I want you to say your name, your age, and then I want you to say, so like on your phone or whatever, then I want you to tell me what you had for breakfast yesterday. This is how you look when you're recalling something. So, Chris, just think about what you had for breakfast yesterday. Okay, so you looked up and to your right. Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that means that when Chris is recalling a truth, you tend to look up to your right,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, by the way, there was a huge myth back in the day that, like, if you look up to the left, you're lying. If you look up to it,
Mm-hmm.
no, people do look up when they lie, but they also look up when they're recalling, when
Mm,
they're remembering. So we would know that, Chris, when you're recalling a truthful thing, you tend to look up to the right and maybe down over to the side.
mm,
Also, I wasn't seeing the whole your whole body, but I'd want to know your hand gestures. I want to see your feet,
mm,
and then I would also ask. I would hear your verbal answer.
mhm,
Do you use ums or likes? Are you using a high voice like this? Are you using a low voice like this? I want to know where you went. So record your response to that. Code it vocally, non-verbally, verbally. What are you doing? Then what I want you to do is that's your baseline, your recalling baseline. Then what I want you to do is tell me your most embarrassing story.
mhm.
And pretend you're talking to me, right? Okay. We do these, by the way, in our lab. We have them, people submit these videos. And when you tell me your most embarrassing story, I want you to kind of relive it. Like I want you to like recall the humiliation that you felt during that embarrassing story. I'm trying to get your body a little bit nervous, right? I'm trying to see your nervous baseline. Code it vocally, verbally, audibly. What are you doing? You'll see we've done this with hundreds of different of participants. Movement goes up. Typically, people touch their face. They're using more gestures, or they go really stoic, deer in the headlights, like very, very still, whites of eyes showing, recounting it like they wish they were dead.
Mm.
Like, it tends to be either one. So record yourself. It's your nervous baseline, your nervous tells. And you should know what your nervous tells are as well, because I'll tell you what, you're probably doing them during your presentations and you should know how to counteract them. Right? Like I know what my nervous tells are. I work very hard to keep them under wraps because I don't want to infect you with nervousness. The last one, the hardest one, I want you to make up an embarrassing story that did not happen to you. And I want you to tell it to me, the camera, trying to convince me that it's real. So pretend like this was you. It cannot be a real story. What we're doing, I don't want you to rehearse this ahead of time. Your body is going to leak deception tells. It's going to leak, this is not true. You're going to see what you look like when you're trying to come up with a lie. Those tells are your lying tells.
And the goal is to make lying tells into recalling tells?
Well, depends on what your goals are. My goals are to look less nervous.
Mm,
Like, those are my goals. I don't want you to teach it. I don't want to teach you to be a better liar, although you could do that with this. My goals really are just to make sure you're not accidentally leaking nervousness. So many really smart people that I work with, most of my students are like super smart, high achievers, off the charts, but they don't know how to present themselves well. And my number one goal is your ideas are great. Don't ruin them with nervous cues. So that's my goal, is that you're identifying your nervous cues so you can kind of displace them or stop them. That is the first step for yourself. You also can practice this with your friends, partner, member, bring them in on it. Do it with them. You will then see your partner's nervous tells and your partner's lying tells. You will see
mm,
your kids' nervous tells and your kids' lying tells. And that's when we begin to look for red flags. So there are certain cues: touching the nose, touching the face, eye blocking. Another really big lying red flag is people drop pronouns. This is called statement analysis.
mm.
This is an email. So there's some really interesting science about lie detection in emails, which I'm working on currently. When we lie, we don't want it associated with us. Lying feels dirty. Lying feels bad. So what we do without realizing it is we drop the personal pronoun. So instead of I'm running late, we say running late, sorry. Instead of
Mm.
saying, "I didn't see your email," we say, "Must have gone to spam." Instead of saying, "My car broke down," we say, "Oh, got broken down. Be there in a bit." So if you see lack of pronouns, again, nothing's a definite lie. It just, when I see that over and over again in emails or in a certain area of conversation, I'm always like, why are they using distancing language, separating themselves from the actual content? The other big lying tell that I like to share with people is the disgust microexpression. So, disgust is when we raise our nose up and we crinkle our nose, we flash the upper whites of our teeth, like you can try it, yeah. Disgust is when we have a lot of activation around our nose and our upper lip. We do not make that expression lightly. Like, that's a very weird thing to do with our face. And we often see it if someone smells something bad or tastes something bad. You also see it with liars. In our research, we asked people to play 2 truths and a lie with us. So, like, tell 2 true statements and 1 lie. We found that lying makes us feel dirty, like a little bit self-disgusted. And so sometimes people will show disgust while they're talking, while they're sharing the lie. So it looks like this. If I were to say, "So what do you think of the new guy?" "Oh yeah, he's great. He's great." And they have the disgust showing in their face. It usually means that someone does not feel good about something, but they are afraid to share the truth. So
Mm.
disgust is one of the other statistical cues that you will see misaligned, like misaligned nonverbal and verbal.